On a quiet evening in October of 1973, the old rotary phone rang. A young man picked up the receiver and took the call. The call described a sighting of something that could not be easily explained. As the chief of police in the small town, Jeff Greenhall felt obligated to investigate once he received the call. He was duty-bound to protect and serve, but what he found on that quiet dirt road that night changed his life, and not for the better. Jeff Greenhall was a young man in his mid-20s. Young for a chief of police, but he was not inexperienced. In his brief time on the job, he had dealt with the usual issues of a small-town police chief: drunks, hitchhikers, and unruly locals. Other than that, not much is known about him. He rarely gives interviews and last talked about his experiences to the press around 2021. Dispatch took the call that night from a frantic woman who claimed to have seen a UFO sit down in a field nearby. They then relayed the call to Greenhall, who was at home, off duty. Greenhall set out to investigate, thinking that he could clear up the misunderstanding quickly. So he grabbed some things, including a Polaroid camera, which would later prove to be important, and he set out on his way. Chief Greenhall did not find the UFO. What he found was much stranger and harder to explain away as errant lights or a misidentified aircraft. Though he searched for some time, he was unable to find the UFO in the fields he searched, but as he turned his car to leave and head back towards the highway, he found the patrol car's headlights a humanoid figure who he first thought was a man, perhaps the property owner surveying his fields, or, quote-unquote, some idiot, he later said. The man was around 6 feet tall, but entirely reflective. Greenhall assumed the man was wrapped in aluminum foil. Greenhall got his Polaroid 2 camera out of the patrol car and snapped 4 pictures, which are now quite famous. He called out, "Howdy, stranger," to no response. The figure didn't seem to even acknowledge he was there. Greenhall turned on the car's blue lights, and then he realized how metallic and reflective the creature actually was. The suit, if that's what it was, seemed to have no seams at all. As Greenhall looked back, the figure began to move away. Greenhall stated that the figure didn't move like any man or animal, that it seemed to have springs on its feet. As he gave pursuit in his patrol car, he found himself doing up to 35 miles per hour just to try and keep up, but to no avail. Greenhall crashed his patrol car soon after and watched as the creature leaped straight up and over a 6-foot fence and faded into the darkness. Greenhall examined the fence where the entity leaped over and found a small piece of foil-like metal that was reported to be indestructible and highly unusual. In the days following, Greenhall recounted his story to the public and to the media. Instead of interest, the public regarded him as a hoaxer, or worse, incompetent. And things would only get worse for the embattled police chief. He was fired from his job. His wife, fed up with the small-town rumors about him, left. Then his house burned. Greenhall became a pariah in the community. In his own words, "I pretty well withdrew myself from the public for years. People who were supposed to be my friends, the only thing I found out is that I really couldn't trust anyone. I withdrew, I ran, and I went to places to try to get away from it." Despite the sighting making his life tough and tragic, Greenhall never changed his story. He never sought fame or fortune from the encounter. As he said, he ran from it and any association. To this day, the Falkville, Alabama Metal Man is one of the most captivating cryptid/alien encounters ever due to the evidence and the reliability of the witness. But what really happened? First of all, the tragedies that supposedly befell Greenhall don't seem to have much basis in fact. For one, there's no confirmation that his wife ever left him. In fact, he credits his wife and his faith for seeing him through the incident. And there's no evidence his home burnt either. He was pressured to resign by the town city council for sure, which he reluctantly did. As for the actual incident, it's commonly reported that no such costume was possible, and that the UFO sighting made it more credible, and that the creature moved like no human. The UFO call was often credited to a panicked woman, but the truth is the call was anonymous. Then there's Charlton Hall. He's the author of a book called Tinfoil Aliens, where he recounts his adventures with friends in the 70s conducting UFO pranks. He claims the creature in the suit was a high school friend dressed in a mylar blanket, duct tape, and welding equipment, and the UFO was just a balloon. Despite everything else, this is probably the best explanation. It's likely that the entire encounter was a strange combination of agile and fast pranksters and a young police chief's mind filling in the blanks in the midst of the UFO hysteria of the 70s. It was an event that changed Greenhall's life, and in some not so positive ways. So whether you believe in the Alabama Metal Man or not, some people still do, including Jeff Greenhall. And for this reason, it remains firmly lodged in U.S. UFO folklore.